What up? um, More things that might be useful to bear in mind when embarking on any deeper explorations. It may be useful to already have engaged in these explorations without the assisted use of chemicals, substances, sacraments of some sort. And so stillness and movement practices of some description, whatever that looks like. It might be some kind of meditation, might be reading some books as well. One that springs to mind would be Letting Go, David R. Hawkins. That might be a useful one to start with. I don't know, a useful concept to explore. So some kind of practice in that regard. Also, it might be useful to earlier I talked about the kind of the fight and the magic aliveness side, the two sides, the yin and the yang. One thing that came to mind that was really useful for me and quite formative, I feel, was the king, warrior, magician, lover archetypes. And particularly, let's look at the warrior and the lover in relation to what I talked about earlier. The warrior, so what I used to do, what was recommended to me and was quite useful, was to find a made-up character for each one of these archetypes that really embodied it for you. And they should be made up, fictional, from a story somewhere, because they can stay as the epitome of that archetype there. When we step outside of a fiction, we see that, we might see that our heroes are also they are much more than how we portray them. They cannot be fit into one specific archetype. They're much more than that. So but within a story, they might encapsulate some of that in a quite nice way. So because we only see them for certain parts, perspectives. So that's useful. So, for example, I think I might have used Aragorn as king from Lord of the Rings. I think warrior, I always used William Wallace from Braveheart or Gladiator. Russell Crowe, right? Gladiator. And then for the lover, Zorba the Greek. Great film. Really not very highly watched anymore, commonly watched anymore, but a great film. Zorba is a very playful, alive, boisterous character who finds delight and magic in the mundane, brings it into every interaction to an almost ridiculous degree, comical degree, and it makes everything work, and when it doesn't, it's still magic. So that was a great archetype for the lover. And then the magician, I often used Gandalf, because he's a cool dude. yeah, so, and then kind of they can be influences to some extent and act as like compass points to bounce off of, to play with, to guide in some degree. So these things might be useful as well. Also, one more thing, it might be worth mentioning that it's probably not a good idea, it's probably not wise, probably, it might be, I'm not sure, but it's probably not a good idea to overdo it with sacraments. It's probably a good idea to stagger them, create space and separation between them. To every sacrament there is an offside where the benefits that you get from it and the beauty of it is opposed to something else, something that we don't like as much. If we don't honor that experience and set of experiences as well, we can end up creating a schism within ourselves. An addiction can be born out of that as well, and ultimately we are not exploring and experiencing all of the options. All of the options are included, and this too. So it might be wise to schedule things / really space things out. It's about quality over quantity, and though they can be useful, probably don't rely on them. And that's that.